All right, are we ready?
Yes.
All right. We're going to call the regular meeting of the LaPorte County Council, April 20th, 2020 meeting to order. If everybody would please stand for the pledge and look at Rich's flag. Those people on Zoom. Mr. Molnauer, would you say the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God,
indivisible, liberty, justice for all.
All right, Madam Auditor, can you call the roll?
Yes. Mr. Garner?
Here.
Mr. Molnauer?
Present.
Mr. Novak?
Here.
Mr. Quinn?
Here.
Mr. Rosenbaum?
Present.
Mr. Santana?
Present.
And Mr. Yagelski?
Present.
A quorum is present.
All right. At this time, without objection, I'm going to hand the meeting over to Mr. Yagelski, who's actually present there at the meeting, so he can, just because of the recording and everything, maybe he can just run things a little bit better from there. So at this time, is there any objections to that?
None.
None.
All right.
No.
Hearing none, Mr. Yagelski, would you like to continue then?
Yes, sir. Approval of the April 20th, 2020 agenda.
Motion to approve.
Give a motion to approve. We have a second.
Second.
Second by Mike. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Approval of the March 23rd, 2020 meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Approved. Second.
Who was the first person, please? Terry. Terry was the first.
That's fine. Either way.
Mike was the second.
I'll second if they need it.
I second it. Well, anyway.
Got it.
Either way.
Got it. Thank you.
I got it all down.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Public comment this time? Public comment this time?
If anybody's on the Zoom and wants to speak from the public, they need to unmute their mic.
Public comment is done. Public comment is closed. Department head reports.
This is Jay Sullivan, County Engineer. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yep. Good. Well, good evening. I wanted to just discuss the question on the 400 North and Johnson Road traffic light modifications. There's been some discussion on adding the 4 left turn arrows. I did get a quotation from that from Hawk, which was $9,287.79. I guess I'm just looking for some direction and whether you want me to proceed with that or what we want to do there.
Hey, Mr. I don't know who, whatever, everybody. I've been working on this with Mitch Bishop and Jay Sullivan. Again, we're talking about 400 North and Johnson Road, and it was brought to my attention that there is only one left-hand turn signal at that intersection, and the backup in the traffic that occurs because it was installed that way needed to be addressed. Now, I do remember, too, that somebody came to the commissioners' meeting and spoke on this also. We did try to see if NDOT, I believe it was, or whatever the company was, Jay, that did all of this work, and if they would do it, I don't know, for lack of better, in kindness to get it done. Well, they said no, and so the final cost, like we say, is $9,200, and I am very much in support of this, as again, not only have I received phone calls, but you guys know I do the radio thing, and I've gotten calls to that asking about it. So these guys looked into it, and it's my understanding that this money can come from, and it will come from, the highway department, as they have already made a pledge to say we can handle this at this particular time out of our budget. Jay, correct me if I'm wrong, but these are some of the conversations I've had.
That's exactly right.
I got a question. Is that for eastbound traffic on 400 North, Jeff, or Jay?
Well, it would be for both directions, yes.
East and
Right
west?
now, right now there's just a green yield on green, whatever, for oncoming traffic. There is no dedicated arrow.
Okay, thank you.
Correct. Yeah.
So the question, Jay, is, because I asked this, how did we miss this? Because this was, this renovation was planned well in advance. Who missed it and how did we miss it? Because that was part of the plan.
If I can answer for that,
Sure.
for that, yeah. It was deemed by the construction, or in the what do you call it, the architect or engineer of this, that it was not a safety issue. Well, as we have now found out, since it has been in service, this whole intersection since the completion, that might be true, but it is certainly a backup of traffic that these people travel every day. And I still think, in some regards, if you're going to have one that's going to turn out of three with the traffic signal, I don't know what the bearing was, Mark, or if there's a rating system, so to speak, but that was what was said, and so they put in one, and they didn't put in the other three. It was on our dock.
Yeah, AECOM did. NDOT did a traffic study. AECOM was the engineer on the project, and they didn't deem unnecessary all four dedicated left turn arrows. However, as has been mentioned, there is a need for it, we believe, because of the backed up traffic.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
This is the department head right now. Is this on the agenda?
No, but it's just a permission to spend, correct? Or do we even need permission?
Hey, you guys, if I could chime in once again, I think I directed him or Mitch to come here as a courtesy to basically say we've got the funds to do this through another budget, but just want to, again, let us know what is taking place. And so that's why I invited then, because Mitch couldn't be here, Mr. Sullivan, to present this to you guys again as a courtesy, because basically they're just taking it from one budget to another. So
do we need to do anything, attorney?
They have the money and they have it ready to spend it.
Correct.
I don't understand, because right now we're just at department head reports. So I don't understand what is before the council. I'm sorry.
It's more for informational purposes, and that is why he is just coming to say that they're looking at this project to put in these other three left turn signals, and the money is going to come from the highway department. That has been also shared, I should say, with the auditor. And so I just told these guys, come and just let the council know. Again, it's a courtesy thing to say, hey, we're going to do this. And that's where I'm at with that.
We were asked if this is something we'd want to do.
Yeah.
That's why I made the motion. It's not it wasn't, I didn't take it that it was just 100% informational, but that's fine if it is. I'll withdraw my motion, but.
Well, I don't know, because even if a motion needs to take place, and again, I do, throw that to the attorney and Joey, as far as when we start dealing with, inner funds, what's our protocol?
Just Santana. What is being asked? Which account is it coming out of? Where is it being switched over from?
From Highway Department, they said they can incur the cost to pay this bill.
That, if I can just chime in here, that can either come from the seated funds or MVH.
And how about if I change my motion to a motion of support, that we support this project being done?
Made a motion to support. Yes. Do you have a second?
I'll second.
And Terry's a second. I think it was the first one to say it. Terry seconds it.
Yes.
Okay. Questions?
I have some comments. Bringing something in front of us without any stats. We just want to do this. And we're going to spend just under 10 grand to just do this because we want to have arrows and a light because we think it's unsafe. And NDOT has already told you, or whoever told you, that it's not a safety issue. We now want to do it for convenience. Is that what I heard, Jeff? Because I'm telling you, that's what I'm hearing. That we just want to do this for convenience.
Yeah, you are absolutely hearing that, but I think that there is a degree of safety that goes through it. But when you get, called and questioned by constituents, it's something that I presented to these guys. And again, we were hoping, like we say, that they would be able to take the cost from us. But they basically said, no, the project is over and it's done. It was not included. And so then I started looking for some funds to say, well, if you've got that in your budget, which the highway department has pledged, and it's like, okay, so that's going to be cool for the rest of the year. And they're like, yeah, we obviously you guys know Mitch is out there. That's his headquarters, as well as I believe Jay. And so these guys all work together. And so this is where the game plan got put together. And so, yes, you've got some people out there that are asking for it. And I would take it to another level to say it could still be a safety issue. So it's all of our choices. It's your pleasure.
And it was approved by the commissioners.
It was, yes. I went before the commissioners at their last meeting. I want to chime in here just a minute on the safety issue. During the summertime, the lanes are marked. The turn lanes are marked and everything is in pretty good order. But then in the wintertime, when there's snow on the roads and the arrows are, not visible, I think it could possibly create some confusion on the part of, drivers going east-west on 400. So I think that would be, I would be in favor of it for that reason, if no other.
And there's also a problem you have. It's called signage. And if there's a problem with signage, that can get at no cost. The county has the signs to be able to make them. That's not a problem. I have a problem because we've turned a lot of projects down because they don't meet criteria. I know that this council's turned down 5 road projects because there wasn't enough accidents, there wasn't this, and we went to because Jeff, people ask for it. People always ask for things. We don't jump around it because we don't create another safety issue by doing something else. I don't understand why we missed this in the first place. This was the purpose to straighten this intersection out, 4 turns, 4 turning lanes. So I think that we are not here to be changing something that comes along the way. So let's get the engineers to study it. Let's look at it. We should not be judging this. We should not be, because the next week they're going to want it taken out. I got an idea. I have 10 constituents that say, let's take it back out. Then shut it back off again next week. That is not the way to run government.
Question.
Anybody else have anything to say?
I have a question.
Okay. Go ahead.
So we don't even need to take any action and they can do this. So I don't understand. I mean, I can withdraw my motion to support and we can just pretend it never happened. They're going to do it anyway. This isn't we can ask all the questions why it was missed and this and that. Mr. Sullivan was asked to come here by another council member just as a courtesy. So it's been stated that they don't need our permission to do this, so they're going to go ahead with it regardless. So
No, I disagree. I think they do need permission, but that's not true.
Well, that's.
Do we have a motion? Did anybody else have any comment?
Hey, how about, let me chime in on this. So what is the protocol to transfer money from one department to another in order to accomplish a project? And I think that's what, and maybe I shouldn't have opened my big mouth and told them to come here as a courtesy to say, hey, we're looking at doing this. So but Randy, I'm questioning like you are right now. If that's the way that it is, and it's perfectly legal to take one fund to the other to help out and support. What's the story, Joey?
Well, what fund are you talking about? Because if they're going to use the MVH fund, Motor Vehicle Highway Fund,
that's the normal.
The money's already in there, and that MVH fund is primarily for road and infrastructure improvements. So that's a logical place to take it from.
Okay, and I was not positive where the highway. Jay, again, if you can weigh in, do you know which fund, or was it just said to you, like it was said to me, that the highway department can absorb this cost?
Excuse me, everybody.
Wait.
Matter of order, but that's the problem. We just came in and the department head was giving us information, and now we have questions about where this fund, where it's coming from, if the highway department has pledged it, what fund it's coming from. We just need to have some form and some order, and I think part of the problem is just that we have some people on video and some people here. So I would recommend that right now that you withdraw your motion, Randy. We have this information, and let us look at this.
Yes.
And next month we can bring something before the council if it needs to be.
I withdraw my motion.
I withdraw my second.
Thank you. Any other department heads?
Thank you, guys. I have one other thing. This is Jay Sullivan again, Highway Department. President Novak, I had sent you some information on the 186 for the scoring issue. I don't know if you had a chance to review that.
I've got it sitting right here next to me.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Any other department heads? Okay. Liaison reports. I'm going to start. Mike.
Most meetings have been canceled. I did attend my first regional sewer water meeting. They were doing this over Zoom, had some issues with the public part of it. It's not clear to me when the next meeting is because it's not on a month-to-month basis. Most others have canceled their meetings. I've also been part of a lot of COVID-19 calls that included the commissioners and the department heads. In the past couple of weeks, Randy Novak has led of community leaders throughout the county, and that has also been a great place to give everybody the same information, and so that we're working with the same things. The only other thing is redevelopment did have a meeting, and they have quite a few things going on in the hopper, and actually starting to get traction on a couple of the different areas. So more of that some of that's already been out, and more of it will be coming. That's it.
Thank you. Sean, you have anything?
No, my report would be similar to Councilman Rosenbaum's. Not a lot of meetings, department meetings going on, so I haven't attended any, but have been involved in those COVID meetings that he described. So I'll end there so we can move on.
Okay. Jeff, same thing.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Here's kind of what I wanted to summarize with this whole thing. Basically, for the public's knowledge, we are now and have been getting a report from all of our departments within the whole county at the end of the week, and to figure out and find out what has been going on in their department, who is coming into work, who is not. So it's an accountability thing. So we have all been updated on that, folks, with all of our departments. And so I think that's important that everyone knows, because obviously, as you just heard, a couple of the few here, we haven't, really been having meetings and so on and so forth. I will tell you, though, for this evening, I am a liaison to EMA and EMS, and they are on the agenda. The other departments that I have, basically, I'll share is maintenance, survey, drainage board, hazmat, but there's nothing, to report right now that is out of the ordinary, other than this, pandemic that we're going through. But so, just so the folks know out there, we're keeping track of our employees, and but yeah, as far as the liaison report, there's not a whole lot to say at this point.
Mike Molnar.
About the same thing, really. As far as liaisons, why all of them have canceled. I got a health department one tomorrow at 4 o'clock that I plan on Zoom attending. Commissioners, there's twice weekly one. I've been to zoomed in on a few of those, and also, of course, President Novak on Thursday meetings. And as Jeff mentioned, the HR report from all the department heads on Friday of, we've been kept abreast, I think, real well on that, and I think it's very, very enlightening and good communications, I think, at this point.
Okay,
that's all.
Okay, thank you. Jerry Gardner.
Yeah, pretty much the same thing, but we did have a Zoom meeting, Randy and I, for the fairgrounds, development there. The main thing we just want everybody to know is they are still planning on having a fair one way or another. They have to pay Toby Keith regardless. So they are trying to make sure that they hold the fair. Purdue Extension, they may not have a 4-H fair. They may have to hold an open class fair instead of a 4-H fair. That's still kind of up in the air for a while yet. So that's basically the major thing, other than we're still doing a lot of projects out there. So that's it.
I just got to say something. Just to chime in, shame on Toby Keith. I understand contracts and that, but somebody's been asking me about what's going to happen and that, and oh my goodness, you're going to have to pay the guy even though because of all this is going on. That's ridiculous. Sorry.
Yeah, I think we all agree.
Right. The stipulation is the governor has to cancel it, so it has to be a cancellation. It's my understanding that's like the only clause out of it. So
could still happen. You're saying
it could still. I would imagine though, as Terry said, they are going to have some kind of a fair. They've had 175 consecutive fairs. I don't think they're going to let it go. This is the 175. So anyway,
thank you. I have. We were appointed by Sheila Wilson. It was myself with Randy and with Rich Merzinski. We had a meeting today. It was the initial part just to go over departments and the medical supplies that they have presently. When I say medical supplies, I'm putting it all together as far as sanitized wipes and everything like that. But it's generally medical supplies. And we have a couple more departments still to go over yet, so we're on our initial meeting we had today on our conference call. Randy, go back.
Yeah. Just echoing what Mark just said about the being on the committee for the PPE and checking. We did a survey of all the departments last week. to see where they're at inventory wise and what we need, and we've got some leads on some different things. Anybody in the public, as far as elected officials, or if you're a town official in a township trustee or something that needs to be part of our Thursday afternoon countywide update on the COVID-19, email me and I'd be happy to see about adding you to our Zoom meeting. We have an awful lot of people on there now. The other thing I just want to echo, like Terry said, kudos to Larry L., because his guys are out there at the fairgrounds getting a lot of stuff done right now, because there's just an awful lot going on out there and all over the place. I know they're busy. Larry's department's busy everywhere, but so FMEC is continuing to operate. So that's it.
Nice job, sir. Cut down for comments. Okay, thank you. Okay. Consider the allocation of funds for the COVID-19 expenses. New business. Joey. Joey Winsky.
You have to unmute, Joey.
Here I am talking and you can't even hear me. I'm recommending that you appropriate or allocate $300,000 from the emergency reserve or the rainy day fund to cover the supplies that are needed, and that's probably just a beginning, by the way.
Okay, with that caveat, I had mentioned this to Joey, Mr. Winsky. When I was on the NICTY board, we did a lot of grants. We have to separate those dollars because when the feds come in and they are going to have some reimbursement, we just don't know what level we have to have those separated. So that's what the $300,000 transfer would be, a COVID-19 fund. Any questions on it?
So this $300,000 would be put into that fund.
Yes, sir.
And
there's money in that fund.
It's already in there, but
okay.
we'll keep track of it within that fund.
Okay.
You can't have money transferred back and forth. Otherwise, the feds will come in. They will not accept the reimbursements of money getting transferred in and out of other funds. It has to be on that.
Right.
Hey, you guys! One more time. What's the protocol as far as how this is? How it's going to be? What do we say? Approved?
The authority to spend it.
That's my question. Yeah.
So, we had kind of talked, and as what I'd like to do is make a motion, and I'll get to the motion, but that it's the emergency reserve fund that we allocate $300,000 in there, and in the way I foresee this working, that if something comes up between meetings, that since Councilman Ugelski and myself, and we can include the vice president of the council also, would, along with the auditor, could authorize a purchase, and then we would bring it back to the council at the next regular meeting to ratify everything. So, what's your thoughts on that?
Randy, I believe it was Mike Rosenbaum. He was supposed to be on that when we talked about it with the last meeting.
Well, the only reason I included Mr. Moldenauer is because he's the vice president.
Just let Mr. Moldenauer, and I'll just withdraw mine and let Mr. Rosenbaum, Mr. Moldenauer, and yourself. That'd be fine with me.
And you know what? Listen to what he's saying. I mean, actually, because otherwise you're going to have 4 out of 7, and then it's almost a matter of why do you just include the whole include the whole council? But if Mark's going to withdraw,
it's not to say that you'd have all of them, but we'd have,
I withdrew my name.
Yep. No, I understand. So now you got 3 members. It sounds like a great 3-member board. I'm good with that. I just want to, again, because I think we made it perfectly clear, like you say, Randy, when we did discuss and we talked and we said, we still want to have control over where our funds are going. And so what are we going to, just for, stuff and giggles, I guess, what are we going to call it? The COVID-19 account? We're just going to put the dough over there, and it's a line item, and that's where everything comes out of. So for accountability, for a state board of accounts, again, I think all these things need to be said. And for us to get our reimbursement, this is the easiest and bestest way, if you will, to get our money back that we spent. Correct?
Well, you're not necessarily going to get all this back. And,
I agree with you.
Right.
Joey, you and I totally agree on that.
But it is a way to target what is spent, number one, and it is a way to keep track of all the expenses so that we can apply for grants, FEMA grants or whatever.
We have a motion.
Okay, so to move this forward, I'd like to make a motion to allocate $300,000 from the rainy day fund to be used for COVID-19 expenses. That's my motion.
I think you have to add.
And we're also going to set the procedure that this 3-member committee will review and bring it in front of the council on a monthly basis.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that, but I'd like to offer an amendment to that.
Okay. Question or amendment?
Well, it's not going to. So I'm going back to, this is directed to Mike Rosenbaum. It's not that this panel or these 3 people are going to review them and bring it to the council. They're going to review them and authorize the auditor to do this. And then we're going to bring it back to the council to kind of ratify it after.
I will go with in my motion.
Spend the money first.
Wait.
No.
Wait, everybody hold on. Okay, so hang on a second. There's been a motion that's been amended. Mr. Novak, will you take your second on that then?
Yeah. I want to hear what Joey has to say.
Fair enough. Questions now.
Right. Let me answer that. Nothing gets spent before it's approved. Nothing. Every expenditure has to be approved before it's spent.
But who can approve these expenditures out of this fund?
Well, who did you just say? You?
That's what I just said. And
right, but
Jeff made the comment that we're spending it before we approve it. And this motion would authorize these 3 council members with the auditor to buy for emergency supplies. That's what this is for.
Right.
To be able to do this between the meetings. If not, we can schedule a special meeting every week and approve all the expenditures. It doesn't matter to me.
Jeff, you were next.
All I'm going to say is I love you guys. I think you're going to make the right decision. I don't know who I'm going to be working with, if I'm elected again in the next time. And when we do things like this, it just gets me away. You guys know what my feeling is on the finance committee, and I mean we are the finance committee, all 7 of us. Why we reduce it down to say why we reduce a day down to 3 individuals to bring back recommendations? Can I still have the floor? Or why am I getting interrupted?
Keep going, Jeff.
So my thing is again, it's almost like the president goes ahead and gives a recommendation, but we don't do it until it comes back before the council. All council members are, we're accountable for everything, and we are elected officials. And gosh darn it, I want to be able to talk and say to my constituents, yeah, or when they say to me, hey, what the heck just happened? I thought you guys were a 7-member board. Only 3 people made this decision. Okay, I go to the floor. Go ahead.
Mr.
An
Secretary.
emergency situation.
This is Attorney DiMartino. This was done on my recommendation based on the governor's executive order as to the open door law requirements. Otherwise, we would have to bring it each month or have special meetings each time a spend would need to be done. So this is in compliance with the OPD and the governor's executive orders. So I mean, that's why this was done.
This only pertains to TPE for the county and things directly revolving around the COVID. Like I said, I'll be happy to withdraw my motion, and we're going to schedule a council meeting every week to approve in case there's any expenditures. That's the alternative.
First of all,
Let me say this back to our attorney, Mr. Guy DiMartino. Guess what? I don't agree with the governor's comments. I don't agree with a lot of the things the president says. And so just because this is it, all I can say is yes, it's of legal form and it's all copacetic when it comes to that. But I guess Jeff Santana, LaPorte County Councilman at large, and this is how I run myself, and this is where I go with my campaign, and that I don't agree with it. So I think that's okay too, though.
okay, anything else on this one? Okay.
Can I say one more thing?
Joey, you got a motion. I got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Opposed?
Nay.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
That's 61. Thank you. Okay, next up here, consider retroactive approval of the council president's authorization to hire a replacement position for building inspector in the plant commission department, the clerk position in the circuit court, the clerk's office, and a maintenance supervisor position for the parks department, effective when departments or the county return to normal work schedules.
Can I speak on this, Mark?
Yes, sir.
So the only one that I would like to separate out is the maintenance supervisor, because the park department is maintaining a regular work schedule and doing everything. So that one, I would like to, we could go ahead and do that. As far as the other 2 departments, I've spoken with the clerk today, and she's absolutely fine with it. She has no intentions of hiring or even interviewing until everything returns to normal. So.
Okay, so we have a motion for the park department to hire right away, and we have a motion to allow to suspend the other 2 departments until we get back to regular business.
Second.
Got a second? That was our name was first. That was second by Mike Moldenauer. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. Okay, ordinance and resolutions. Resolution 2020-4A. Resolution for the LaPorte County Council in support of the COVID-19 3.5 package.
If I may, I had an item number 3 under new business on my agenda that says update on Michigan City Courthouse renovation project.
They sent out a new one.
You should have had a new one sent to you, so that was taken off.
Ah, got it. Hang on.
Do I have a motion to read by title only, or do you what?
I'd like to make a motion to read by title only, please.
Second. Hang on a second. By advice from our attorney, we should go ahead and read the whole.
Oh, then that's fine too.
Okay. Mr. Rosenthal, would you please read it, please? Yeah, sure.
Resolution number 2020-4A. LaPorte County Council in support of the COVID-19 3.5 package, which would provide immediate, direct relief to Indiana counties. Whereas counties like LaPorte County are losing significant tax revenues whether it be delayed or reduced property tax revenues, much reduced local income taxes due to layoffs and furloughs, and dramatically reduced gaming revenues at a time when there is an extraordinary demand for emergency public health and safety expenditures during the COVID-19 crisis. And whereas the National Association of Counties has estimated county budget losses at $144 billion through fiscal year 2021, and whereas the COVID-19 3.5 plan offered by the leadership of both the U.S. Senate and the U.S. House is the best and only plan currently on the table for local governments. And whereas the bipartisan National Association of Counties and the Indiana Association of Counties have both come out in full support of the COVID-19 3.5 plan, which would provide an immediate direct allocation to counties across the U.S. of $29.5 billion, and would mean over $596 million of that amount coming to Indiana counties. And whereas negotiations are ongoing between the White House and the leadership of both parties in the Senate and the U.S. House over supplemental COVID-19 aid package. And whereas the bipartisan Indiana Association of Counties sent a direct appeal this past weekend to all member counties in Indiana asking for support for this package, urging direct contact with both U.S. senators and members of the House of Representatives from Indiana. Now, therefore, be resolved by the members of the LaPorte County Council that, 1, we call on Congress and the White House to work together this week to incorporate into any supplemental aid package the COVID-19 3.5 plan that would provide an immediate direct infusion of federal funds to Indiana counties, including our own. 2, such a package would recognize that county departments and employees are on the front line of the battle against COVID-19, including our county health department, EMS, E911, EMA, Sheriff's Department, and Coroner, all of whom are expending considerable time, effort, and resources to protect public health and safety. We support the Indiana Association of Counties in their effort to back the COVID-19 3.5 plan and pledge to make calls to our U.S. senators, members of Congress, and urge our fellow citizens to email, call, or text in the days ahead.
Motion approved.
Motion approved.
Was that, I'm sorry?
It was Randy.
Randy, with second?
Second.
Okay, Gary Garner seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So moved. Okay, LaPorte County Sheriff requests an additional appropriation from Riverboat, 1191 for general, 1,000 for the Sentinel-1 protection platform.
Sure. Good evening. This is a request for an appropriation for the protection platform that we were instructed to install in our computers or operating systems in about August of last year. We had already had a virus protection system that we had paid for that was in place at the time, and we were instructed to install it. I don't know, Darlene can answer. I don't know why we're just now receiving the bill for this, but nonetheless we are. So we're before you asking for an appropriation.
Motion to approve, and that it comes out of general.
Motion to come out of general.
Second.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any question? That was by Randy, right? Yes. Yeah, by Randy. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Thank you. LaPorte County Health Department requests additional appropriation of the Health Department Fund 1159 for funding for troop nurses, $15,000.
Can you hear me? This is Tony Mancuso.
Tony, go ahead.
Okay, the one nurse is our emergency preparedness coordinator, and basically she's part-time, and her grant runs out June, and she's been working full-time, so I won't have the money to pay her. And the second nurse is my nurse practitioner. She's on a grant too, but unfortunately she did the STD clinic, and they won't pay her salary for COVID-19, so and that money for her. And once I get my grant back in June, then I'll just need money for Peggy, the second nurse, not the first nurse.
With the pleasure of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Randy, second by Mike Mullenhour.
I've got a question. I got a question. How long does the 15,000 last as far as giving them?
It depends how long this goes on, COVID-19. I mean, the first nurse is that she'll be running the preparedness, so there'll be $25,000 for her. She's a 1-year contract. That's all the state gives me for preparedness for the county. And once everything slows down, the other nurse, she'll go back to her regular salary through the local HUD maintenance fund for the STD clinic.
Okay. Thank you, Tony. Yep.
All in favor?
Sean.
Aye.
Sean has a question.
Apologize, I didn't see it comes up late. Go ahead.
Is this something that we should be paying or paying out of a certain fund, or at least making an auditing record that this is related to COVID-19 so that...
Should we take this out of the emergency reserve fund, Joey?
Yeah, I mean, that we could possibly be reimbursed for this.
No,
Great call, Sean.
Yeah, that we've already talked about that, and no, we're going to report that's a COVID-19 expense. So, but that's a good question.
Okay.
Yeah, we've already designated that.
Great.
Okay, great. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Request permission to spend from Communicable Disease Fund 2704 for PPE supplies, $100,000. Go ahead.
Okay, this money's out of the communicable diseases. It's a non-reverting fund. That's just money we've been making. And what it can do is normally we used it for shots and travel shots and all that. So what this money is, it's emergency money. So that 100,000, which we forecast, and I think once a vaccine might become available, the health department's going to need equipment. We're going to need people to hire, nurses to hire the shots. But this can also be reimbursed by the state too. So that's what me and Jory are thinking also on this. So that money's already there. I already have it.
Okay. Do you have a motion?
I got a question now. The money's there, I know, but we're going to get reimbursed for that too. Is that going to come out of that COVID-19 fund or no?
No, it's coming out of his fund.
Coming out of my fund.
But I mean to get reimbursed from it for it.
No. This is over and above the money we're spending. We get money in that account every year.
Okay.
But this is money that he needs for his supplies. His supplies were not included in the list that I made. I took them out of there, and I don't know what the 3 guys are doing right now with their list. But these are supplies that the health department needs in addition to the other departments.
Right.
Okay.
Tony, is this COVID-19 related, or is this just replenishing supplies because we used up everything that we had?
Okay, we'll get your question. This is money that's in the account right now. We've had this money for years. We just keep like Joey said, every time we make a little bit of money doing blood profile, we make a little money doing shots. So this money's been accumulating for years now, longer than I've been there.
I was just trying to find out what the use was for, if it was to replenish supplies that we need just in general, or if it was a COVID-19.
Well, yeah, usually that money buys all the vaccine for us to operate the clinic and all that. The regular clinic, okay, for COVID-19, we hope to get reimbursed on this. Hopefully we can turn this into, to the state, and hopefully they can fund this, because this is money that belongs to the health department, well, the county, of course.
Right.
This is money that we've done.
That was question, so.
Yeah, over the years, like blood profile, what we charge, and this is what we make. So it's an account, a savings account like we've had.
No, that wasn't a question.
So this money, if I understand Tony correctly, it's being allocated in anticipation of them coming up with a vaccine, and he'll be ready to go to get everything ready to go out and start vaccinating people. That's what this is for.
Correct. Because see what happened back in 2009, the H1N1, the state funded this money right away. I mean, we had like $200,000 and we were able to hire 14 people and we got equipment. Now for COVID-19, we've got nothing from the state. This is money that we're going to have to, the county's going to have, the health department's going to fork out.
Tony, how much money you have? Tony, how much money you have in that account?
Joey, do you know how much? I can't remember.
I thought it was 160, but
yeah, about 150.
Okay. Would it work, Joey? A question. This is really asking a question right now. Could we transfer this $100,000 in with the $300,000, then pay it out of the three? Wait.
No.
Start shaking your head. No. Hang on a second. Can you take the $100,000, transfer it into our money, and then allocate that $100,000 back to Tony so we keep the record on that's what the purpose is. We were trying to get all in one balance sheet.
No, we'll still keep track of this.
I know that's not
no, you can't transfer it into that fund. It has to stay in this fund and be spent from this fund.
You're going to have problems, I can tell you right now, because it's not going to work that way with the state. I'm feds when they come in. It's not going to work that way.
Well, technically, it's the money that the county has. It's the health department's money. And so, yeah, I could see them paying us back, reimbursing it.
Okay, the feds.
Why not?
You know how many millions of people are going to be applying for this money? You have to put on a back burner if you guys don't get it straight.
Well,
right, but this is going to be hopefully this is going to be money reimbursed by the state. There are several reimbursements right now on the books. For instance, we are looking to get a reimbursement from Medicaid money that the EMS is charged.
Okay, Joyce, okay, Joyce, you're saying that this could be state, not feds.
This would be reimbursed by the state, not the feds.
That's a different conversation. Okay, thank you.
Right.
Okay, well, hold on.
Jeff, can we start with the motion and get ask a question?
I don't know why we had all the discussion before we had a first and second.
Started out.
You're doing it right now.
I'm on it, and that's all. Can I have a motion? Mr. Novak, motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Mike. Okay, question, Jeff. Go ahead.
Okay, again, Ms. Auditor, the word hopefully, that just doesn't really work for me. Hopefully we'll get reimbursed. Hopefully it'll come. Now, what I'm looking at is again, like you say, Mark, or Joey says too, we can't, just say 100,000, we transfer over out of the 300,000, but can we say to tell him at this particular time, do not buy it out of this account and put in a request to get it out of the 100,000 that we just appropriated and keep that money, and that will go into the category of we might get reimbursed. What do you think?
There's no guarantee that we're going to get reimbursed on anything. And if we think we are, we're sadly mistaken. But we have to try to be reimbursed. This communicable disease fund has to be spent by the health department on specific things. So that's why Tony asked me if if the two of us thought it would be a good idea if he spent that on supplies. I mean, we're going to spend $500,000 on supplies. I can tell you that just from what we've spent already. So why not try to help our cause a little bit by using this money that it's just been sitting there. So let's use it in our time of need.
as long as we're using it for supplies that he needs in the office that don't have to do with COVID, then absolutely go ahead and do that. But if it is COVID, let's just make sure that he gets to put in his POs for the supplies that he needs because of that.
We can just being on this task force, if he needs supplies such as masks or things like that, we can do that. This money, this $100,000 is for the vaccine and administering the vaccine and doing all that stuff. Once that's developed, Tony just wants to be ready in case they come out with it, that he's got permission to spend this and go lights and sirens to make that happen. It's not, we can take the general products, gloves and things like that. If Tony needs those, we can take those out of that other account.
Well, all I'm saying is that clarifies it too, and so all I don't want him to do is to use these funds for things that could be covered under COVID-19. That's it.
But these can be covered. This everything he's talking about is COVID-19.
Yeah, it's nothing.
Okay, do we have any questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes. Thank you. Okay, LaPorte County EMA requested additional appropriation Riverboat 1191 or general 1,000 for fuel and electric for towers.
Good evening. LaPorte, Chip Wojtrowski, LaPorte County EMA. A little bit of background. When we put up our antenna towers back in 2017, we had 3 locations that we had designated, one being Michigan City Police Department, one being at Rolling Prairie, and one being in Kingsbury. We are responsible for those sites only for the upkeep of the building and kind of maintenance things. So when the electric started coming in, of course that was previous commissioners, we had asked who's going to be paying those bills. We did not have that money in our budget. Nothing was ever budgeted, so it was just said give it to building maintenance since it's a building. So they've been paying the electrical bills. Late last year, I got notified by the state that we were almost out of fuel at the Rolling Prairie location because every week they run a generator there. So I worked with Joey. We kind of hurriedly got some money out of our account, so we were able to fill that tank up. As anyone knows, they recommend you never fill a propane tank up in the wintertime. So we're trying to get it, talking with Joey, what we're trying to do is get all the electrical and gas out of one budget. And I told her I would be able to handle that as long as the money was moved into our budget, because we don't have the money in our budget to do it at this time. So she kind of looked at the electrical bills of what building maintenance has been paying for 2 buildings. We don't have to pay for Michigan City. Michigan City's paying for that part of their bill.
I make a motion to approve.
Okay, Jeff Santana, who was second? Which fund? But which fund, Jeff?
Let me look here. Well, again, I refer to the auditor. Well, no, for me, I'm always about the general. Let's do it out of general if we can.
Okay, do I have a second? Okay, Mike Rosenbaum got a second. Questions? I have a question. This comes up all the time. When we first approved this years ago, these places were supposed to be paying for themselves. Who's running the generator? Rolling Prairie's running the generator. It's how Rolling Prairie paid for it.
Rolling Prairie, the generators are run by the state. So what the state does is it's on a system where they have access, that they communicate with that. So every Monday they go through and they send a notification to the generator to kick on. I've actually had to go to both Rolling Prairie and Kingsbury because they go into an overcrank status. So they'll notify me to actually call me right away and say, hey, the generator's in overcrank, it's not running, can you check it? So I go out, and both of them have been in their alarm. I shut them off, turn it back on, and then they send the signal back through again, and it starts it. And it runs that generator for about 10 minutes is all that does. And then whenever power goes out, then of course the generator automatically.
This is not a Rolling Prairie or anything. This is your account.
Correct.
Okay. So that's a generator. That works that way. What's the electric for?
The electric runs the building and all the equipment inside that building.
We were taking that out of our,
That was being paid for by building maintenance. They were the ones paying that electrical bill because it's AEP for Rolling Prairie, and we have
University electrical interest always been coming out of that.
It's always been coming out of that account, but talking with Joey, she would like to see that all that being handled under one account instead of me paying the gas and them paying the electric.
We start doing that, we're going to be going about everything else that we had.
Well, I was going to share that I thought maybe this is a good move, only because it comes under their equipment, what they need to make sure is in good working order. And this way, they're always on top of it, rather than leaving it to
Okay, then I think,
larger group.
and I don't disagree with you. Let's take it budget time. Right now, they got the money. They pay for it. The department's not paying for it. Got budget time, take it out of the one department, put it in this. That's fine.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. So I don't think we should.
Budget time,
We should be doing anything with that right now, except for the gas.
The only problem with it is the gas. We have to be able to fill those tanks up.
The gas, I agree with that, but I don't get the electric. Electric got a budget out of it. So how much you need for gas?
I don't know. We filled it up last year and we paid a high amount because it was actually on New Year's Eve that it got filled. If we fill it during the summertime, propane gas prices are dramatically lower. So we're using the same company.
For last time.
We paid for it, and I didn't see what the bill came through because it came through at the end of the year.
Joey, I'm going to ask this question one more time. This is a budgetary process that happens later on. We should not be coming right now, change it. You've been paying along the same way anyway. Mrs. Winsky, are you good?
I keep forgetting that I have to unmute.
It's been 4 months now.
we can pay the electric. I can just send it back to Larry's department, but the gas was we didn't know how to pay for that gas.
Pay for it last time in January.
We paid for that out of our budget, out of our gas, fuel, oil.
Right. They had extra money left over, but this year I'm not sure they're going to have it.
Okay, when they run out of money, they come back to the council. This is a budgetary process. Let's finish our budget, and then at that point, we make a decision. I mean, we got August. We can rewrite. We don't want to rewrite our whole budget in the middle of the year. That's right. Okay,
We would like to recommend that it only be paid gas up to the 2,100 for gas audit. Is that what your recommendation is?
Well, there's a patrol. Yes, that'd be fine.
And Jeff, are you okay with it that it's just for gas?
No, I'm not going to withdraw my motion.
Okay, I just wanted to see, following what his point was.
Okay, all in favor?
All in favor for what? Wait a minute.
There's already been a motion on it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Nay.
Nay.
Ms. Winsky, please do the roll call.
Hold on. Mr. Mullenhour?
Aye.
Mr. Novak?
Aye.
Mr. Quinn?
Aye.
Mr. Rosenbaum?
Aye.
Mr. Santana?
Nay.
Mr. Yagowski?
Wait.
Wait a minute. Yes, aye. Thank you.
Mr. Yagowski?
Nay.
Okay.
Mr. Garner?
Nay.
Nay. Okay.
So the motion passes 5-2.
Okay, thank you. Okay, LaPorte County EMS, request permission spent from the EMS donation fund 4103 for EMS week, $2,000. And a motion?
Motion approved.
Gary's got a motion.
Second.
Second by Mike. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. LaPorte County Parks, request permission spent from Parks Non-Reverting Fund 2052 for 3 desktop computers, a laptop.
Motion to approve. Yeah.
Motion, with that motion, I'm sorry.
Motion to approve. Santana.
Santana, second. By Mike.
Second
All in
motion.
favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? So moved. LaPorte County Recorder requests permission to spend from the Recording Perpetuation Fund, 1189, for the purchase of a refrigerator.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Jeff made the motion.
Jeff made the motion.
And Mike Mullenhour was the first one that I heard.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Okay, council comments this time?
None.
Okay. Anybody else? Nothing for me? Okay, Mr. Rosenbaum?
Yeah, I have, it'll be short. It was mentioned earlier that, about how we're accounting for people's time. The commissioners had asked the department heads to manage their departments during this crisis. We have, with the guidance and assistance from fellow councilman Sean Quinn, we've worked in a COVID-19 plan so that people can take some time off if they're not here. They can take family leave if they need to, and it was extended to beyond what the normal amounts of time were. We are asking, and I am asking, that the commissioners go back to the department heads and make sure that they are doing everything possible to continue to work to normalize things when their departments have several projects that could be doing without being interfering in anybody's social distancing. And there are several departments, and I'm not going to call them on it. We have spoken to one of them today. Another one was spoken to earlier. That we're aware of, that there's opportunities while the public is not in the building where they can take advantage of this time to do things to move their department forward that they normally wouldn't have time. But yet, some of their staff remain home. Some of it could be for safety reasons. Not arguing that, but splitting shift, working half and half doesn't do it. There's yet one more department that we have talked about at great length this past week, myself and others, about having part-timers. If a full-time person is alternating with another full-time person because there's not enough work in that office, then there's no reason why a part-timer should be working on the days that the full-timer is home. So let's bring the full-timer back if there's that much work, and let the part-timer stay home so we're not paying double the money. Those are some of the issues that we're trying to adjust in this really unusual time. Not everybody is going to think the same way. Not everybody is going to think about how they can utilize the people, but it's interesting to have conversations. And when different people talk and share ideas, it's amazing the mountains that we can possibly move. I'd like to say kudos to several departments who we've already mentioned. It was in there about all the EMA, EMS, the Sheriff's Office, E911. I'm going to mention building maintenance. They have not missed a beat. They've been keeping busy with their staff. If there's not enough work to keep social distance here, they've been keeping themselves busy out at the fairgrounds. And if those of you have not been out to the fairgrounds, it is worth a little ride through there just to see some of the things. And I'm sure, I think it would be very nice, Randy and Terry, if somebody could give us an update at the next meeting of some of the positive things that are going on there. I have seen the new barn. I have seen other things. So with that said, I urge us to get ready to get back. I urge you to stay safe, stay healthy, and best wishes to all of us. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Council members, you need to give Mrs. Winsky for signatures. You need to give her a call tomorrow for that, for the stuff that we have signed tonight for the amendments and for the meeting. Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Right.
Thank you.